Good morning everyone, Chris CPT again. We've got the Powercruise madness going on here today, so I'll film a little bit of that and show you what we're doing. We've got a mad rush. 57's up the top shed now on the last leg to get it ready for Powercruise. Dad has worked on it like for 48 hours straight. Literally he was there all night through the night last night. I got in here about 8:30, 9 o'clock and sent him home to have a shower and go and sort himself out. He's nearly back here now. We're on the last leg. I've got a list of things we've got to do before we get it onto the dyno. I'll show you that in a second. Garthy's over here. Garthy's over here just doing some final touches to this thing. We did the street drive portion of it today, and all I'll say is it feels like it's got a lot more than 526 horsepower. It's going to upset a few people on the weekend. It bloody moves, so keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, 57's in progress now. This is the list of stuff we've got to do. I'll tell you a bit about more about that car as we go on, because we're just so busy trying to make it happen. This is the list of stuff we have to do. On the steering arms, hitting the pipes, set up all the ECU, make all the custom leads, mount the coils, charge batteries, tune, tyre pressures. There's all the rest of this stuff, as you can see. Cooler pipes, weld in O2 bungs. Yeah, so we've probably got a full day on it before we get it onto the dyno, and then whatever hurdles we come across on the dyno, and it'll be straight on the trailer, straight up there. Every year we say we're not going to do this, but every year we find ourselves doing this, and to tell you the truth, I secretly kind of like the mad rush about it all. It makes it all worthwhile. But I'll keep you posted along the way. So it's all systems go here for the Powercruise prep. We've got Garthy's on tyre pressures and seat belts. Just finished off the wiring. Kyle's putting the new plates on. It's bloody pretty cool, I think. Ballistic. The old boy's making coil mounts. Get the coil mounts made. Hidden under the guard, and then we're on to leads. Once we get the leads made, I'll put a timing light on the number one hole, wind it over, set up all the trigger angles and everything, make sure, validate the ignition timing. So when we originally got this car, through no fault of anyone, but just I'm only going to just tell the story as it is. We bought it, ran it on the dyno just to check it. It had Holy Sniper 4-barrel injection, which I don't rate. I think belongs in the bottom of the ocean, just personally. But we ran it on the dyno just to make sure it was safe before we were going to one of the power play events. It broke an axle, first pull on the dyno. Then we pulled them out. Only had 28 spine axles in it, so we went down the road of changing the diff. We had a sheet metal diff made for it. Went to 31 spine billet axles. The brakes on the car were terrible. It barely stopped. So we put Willwoods all around it. Got the Willwood master there. The Willwood brakes around, make it a lot safer, obviously. Then the gearbox started slipping, the first test drive. So Kyle has another car that has a manualised turbo 400 in it. We took that out of that, put it into this, worked day and night trying to get the thing there, and then once we were nearly finished, we fired it up actually and heard a noise. Thought, what was that? Looked underneath it, and it ended up turning out the thrust bearing was completely worn out of the engine. It had like 15 mil of movement back and forward. We grabbed the converter and the balancer, and it was just going back and forward, banging. So then we missed that event. Pulled the motor out, and the thing was, like I said, not trying to, whoever built it or had anything to do with it, not trying to bag them out or anything like that, but for what we wanted to do, it wasn't going to do the job. It was just like a 555 cube crate engine, nothing special, with a Holy Sniper slapped on top of it. Wasn't going to cut the mustard for what we want to do. So we've got the 31 spline rear end, full manual turbo 400, and we've got, the only thing really left in the engine is the same supercharger, and it's the same block. It's a Dart Big M block. We've changed the whole rotating assembly It had the Kelly's Magnum crankshaft, Oliver I-beam rods, L9N rod bolts. Didn't really want to use them, but we ended up doing it anyway. CP Bullet Series pistons, Rodex BB2 CNC heads, custom comp camshaft. We went with a hydraulic roller in this car because it's not a cage car, falling car or anything like that. Kyle wants to cruise it with his kids, so low maintenance. It's a big hydraulic roller, but it's still hydraulic. It's got the full plasma man inlet, put all the clear view filtration, all that kind of stuff. It's only a 32 tooth pulley on the blower, so it'll probably only make around 8 to 10 psi. I'm thinking, from what I've worked out. And yeah, E85 fuel. It's got a lot of fuel system. We've got a lot of room to move. It's got all the good gear in it. 2 batteries in the boot. We replaced all this. We pretty well did the whole car front to back. So it's got Aeromotive 7 GPM brushless pump, Aeromotive Pro Series filter, custom surge tank, all that stuff. That's a variable speed pump, so the ECU speeds the pump up and down as we need fuel volume. So we're not moving fuel front to back all the time. It's dash 12 lines, so we've got plenty of room to move there. Really, I think, probably a realistic figure to make the camshaft and the boost level will hold it back, but I think from 780 to 800 horsepower we should see turnkey reliable. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're all on the grind now, and hopefully we'll get some of these things ticked off and get it on the dyno and see what it makes. Good morning, everyone. It's now, what are we, Thursday morning. We should have this car on a trailer on our way to Powercruise. We haven't even started it yet. This thing kicked our butt yesterday. Dad worked all through the night, like I said. By the time we made leads, put seat belts in it, finished all the wiring, there's heaps of things that we had to do. Then obviously being an EFI big block, we've got a custom cam and crank trigger system in it. Everything's different. The whole tune has to be made from scratch, which is fine, but we went through a heap of trigger issues, worked that out. I think about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, we pulled the pin. I went home. I think I've had 5 or 6 hours sleep. I've come in here early now to try and make this happen. I've got a few ideas of what might be going on. I'm going to go through it now while no one's here and I've got a clear head. Hopefully we can get this thing fired up this morning and onto the dyno and don't have any too many hurdles, because yeah, we're supposed to be in Brisbane, on our way to Brisbane now. On a positive note though, the LC's all done. Did the test drive, very, very good. Pulled the plugs, went through all that stuff. I haven't even had a chance to look at overkill for Benny yet. It's got throttle body issues. So hopefully if I can get this fired, when the boys get in here, they can get it all in the dyno and I can have a look through overkill and get that happening, because Benny's in the dream team up there, so I would really like to help him get that there. Alright, so as I said earlier, this thing kicked our butts last night. I come in early, checked all the power to the injectors, went through everything, went through all the trigger stuff, all the wiring was correct. All that we're doing was we had the TDC offset angle out, so we've sorted that now and fired it up. So what's the time now, Kyle?
10:15.
10:15. We should have this on a trailer heading to Brisbane, and we're just about to put on the dyno. We haven't even, checked the air pressures and greased the front end, checked the brakes or anything. We haven't even ever driven it. So it's going to be all systems go, and I'll film the dyno. Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday. Powercruise is on. Started Thursday, but yesterday we pulled the pin on the 57, or I pulled the pin on the 57. We'd been working on it like mad, trying to get the car up there, and it just wasn't happening. We fired it up, got it ready. I had a heap of dramas with the trigger setup and all that stuff. Got all that sorted, got it running, started tuning it. The alternator took a dump. And just because we were on the time frame that we're on, we ordered the exact same one, which was the MSD self-excited one, 160 amp alternator. Replaced it. It turned up Friday morning, got it back on the dyno, started tuning it all up, and that one took a dump. I just went, oh man, what's going on here? That's at the point where I realised it's time, because I was that tired, or we were all tired. Like I said earlier, Dad done overnighters and all the rest of it. We were all working at it gun-ho. And I didn't crunch any figures to what size alternator we would need. The ironic thing is, I did a video on this exact same thing 3 weeks ago. And that's what had happened. I crunched some figures on, it's got the 8 Haltech smart coils, the 2000cc injectors, 7-gallon Aeromotive brushless pump, which draws 60 amps just by itself. Big Spal, trans fan, thermo fans, electric water pump, all the things that are in this car to make this car run and do what we need it to do. I crunched some figures. We need a 320 amp alternator. So we were nowhere near it. So when we put the 160 on, that's why it's lasted 5 minutes. So that's when I pulled the pin. When I'm that tired, I can't even think properly. It's time to give up. So Garth and a couple of the other boys have gone up there. They got the little LC up at Powercruise. Yeah, pulled the pin on this one, and we're gonna just change a few things and finish a few things off. There's a few things that I didn't really pick up on. We're actually going to change these wheels because they're just Street Pro wheels. They kind of make the car look cheap. It deserves a set of welds or billet specialties, which we will be doing. Them wheels actually they had no hub-centric rings, so they were not locating. You know, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 horsepower, this thing was probably going to make on relatively low boost. You shear the studs off in 2 seconds with that kind of power when your wheels aren't locating. We haven't got seat belts in all of it. We only had seat belts in the front and not the back. So we need to finish that properly. We need to figure out this charging system. All the wiring is sweet in the regards to the alternator. We just need to, I'm just going to do a bit of research. From what I'm finding, it's going to cost us about $1,800 just for an alternator to run this stuff. But yeah, we need it. It's a very, very important part. And yeah, unfortunately, to be honest, I overlooked it. Tired with my vision on getting it to Powercruise to get it up there for Kyle, and it got overlooked. So we'll be sorting that. We've got to finish. We're going to change the back of the exhaust system, just things like that. So it's nearly there, and once we get that done, we can tune it. And I'll do, without being so crazy, because I really wanted to film so much of this car. It's a really cool car, like a lot of work's gone into this thing. It's, you know, we've built the whole engine in-house, wired it. You know, it's got all the custom oiling system. You know, Dad's responsible for assembling and designing all this stuff. Same as Shane's car. He's really good eye for detail. Everything's painted 2-pack black, and yeah, it's really cool. And so I really wanted to film a lot of the tune because it's going to be pretty fun to tune up. So it's a blessing in disguise, really. And yeah, I think Kyle's going to be out of the country for Sydney Powercruise, but yeah, nevertheless, we'll get it all done. I'll film it all along the way, and in another video, you'll see us tune this thing on the dyno, and I'll show every run and a bit more detail, like I did with the Shane's VR wagon. Coming up in another video very soon too, I'll be pulling the cover off this and putting it on the dyno and leaning on it, tuning it properly. Well, not properly, but going right through the tune. Same as what I did with Garth, reading all the spark plugs, because it's only got a very, very basic tune in it just to get it to Harvey Bay for Christmas so we could cruise around in it. So It'll be cool to see what kind of numbers we can make out of that. And 100% that car will be going to Sydney Powercruise, and I've got about 8 sets of brand new burnout wheels, and I had to get custom rims made for the back because of the short and diff and everything. So I'll be using all of them. We're going down there and then bushfire some straights and drift some corners. As always, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your support, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments. Tell us what you like and tell us what you don't like. Yeah, the more comments and shares and all the rest of it we do, the more video stuff I can do. Thanks guys.